the meeting is recording again. Go ahead.
Okay, they have resumed having trials, and I'm not sure of the exact date, but I think the goal of the Office of Court Administration is to be fully operable by the end of May. That I know that was the original goal. I'm not quite sure whether that's going to happen or not, but I do know, regardless, they have started scheduling cases for trial again.
Okay, good. I know that there was a backlog. They weren't having in-person trials for a while too.
Yes,
I get it
absolutely, they
handled.
weren't.
Yeah.
So the backlog is definitely being addressed now, and it is one of the things that's at the top of the list for the district attorney, as well as the courts also. Everyone is ready to move, and as well as for victims and defendants too, so everyone can have their day in court, and we can try to get some of these cases out.
Great.
Veronica, just make sure you're recording again. Make sure you hit record.
I am.
And,
It's recording.
okay, cool. And the other thing is just mute yourself. There's some background with you when you're not speaking.
Okay. Is that better? Because I think it might have been my fan. Okay. Yahe or Melanie, do you have any questions?
I don't have any questions from the presentation. I know Sonia mentioned something about lighting and stuff like that. I don't know if you can help with one issue that we had. I met with the DOT commissioner back in 2017, and he's promised to install a light outside of the Bronx Muslim Center, which is a place of worship. And it was supposed to be installed in March of 2018. That was when the budget allowed it, and that was when it was scheduled to go through. Mr. Patel from DOT confirmed it. But we never got it installed. And, you know, with all these hate crimes against houses of worship, I don't know what you can do to help us with that.
Okay, I'm not sure either, but Mr. Torres is on the call, and we'll make a note of it, and we'll see if that's something that falls under our purview. If you want to share your email address as well, that probably would be helpful, and we can follow up.
Okay, that sounds good. I'll put my email address in the chat.
Okay, great.
Does anyone from the public have any questions they'd like to ask?
Just hi, good evening, everyone. Is it okay if I can just introduce myself real quick?
Absolutely.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Carlos M. Torres. As Sonia mentioned, I am the Crime Prevention Coordinator at the Office of the Bronx District Attorney in the Crime Strategies Bureau. I put my information in the chat box, and I just want everybody on this call to be aware that June is Gun Violence Awareness Month. On June 4th, our office will be hosting a gun violence prevention march. We ask everyone on this call to join us, but also to wear orange in solidarity. We want to have a flyer, and further information, I'll make sure to share with you all and with Christina as well. So, you know, thank you for having us, and thank you for having me.
Thank you, Carlos. Thank you for being here. Okay, Diana, did you have a question?
Yes, I had some questions for Sonia Chanel. For the hotspot places, do you have that on that map? Do you have any programs in those areas? And I was reading about something called the violence interrupters and wondered if that is happening in the 49th precinct at all. And also I was interested to know if in your statistics, if you had information on the ages of the people involved in the violent.
Okay, I'll answer two of those questions, and I'll let Carlos answer the question regarding the violence interrupters.
Okay.
I do not have the ages. That's not something, I'm not sure if that's something that we keep track of. I can find out for you, but I'm not quite sure. When we do presentations like this, we usually don't refer to any particular cases. And mainly that's because more than likely these cases are still open. So we usually don't give any details about anything that has to do with the individual cases. You're asking for information about ages. I might be able to get some general statistics for you, but none in relation to these specific crimes. And then also, if we have any programs in those areas, I'm not quite sure what kind of programs you are referring to or that you would be interested in.
Oh, does any of the things that you mentioned, like you,
In terms
Hello?
of crime prevention,
right, like you said that
Hello?
pay attention to the lighting in some of the places.
right?
That kind of
We,
thing.
at this point, I know what you mean. At this point, we don't have any specific programs,
Hello?
but that is something that
Hello?
we
Can
are
you hear me?
planning on doing. And that's why if you have anything that you've seen or anything that you're interested in, then please let us know, because we are in the process of coming up with crime prevention initiatives. And if there's something of particular interest, we would definitely look into it. As far as violence interrupters, I am definitely going to let Carlos take this one.
So that's a great question. Thank you, Sonia. So I put some information in the chat box. So as you may all know, maybe, maybe not, but New York City has about 22 cure violence organizations within the 5 boroughs. Here in the Bronx, we have, and our office has partnered with Save Our Streets Bronx, Release the Grip, Bronx Rises Against Gun Violence, Stand Up to Violence, and also another organization known as Guns Down, Life Up. If you like further information in regards to like who to get in contact with, please feel free to send me an email so I can do an e-introduction. But just to give you a little bit of background in regards to violence interrupters, hospital responders, and outreach workers, Cure Violence is an organization. Cure Violence are organizations that work with young women and men of color who have been impacted by violence, particularly gun violence, directly or indirectly. Most of the services that they provide are individual and group therapy, case management, mentorship, and advocacy as well. Many of the organizations have partnered with us in particularly last summer during the uprising gun violence, where our office had some gun violence prevention marches, and we also participated in their events as well. So again, I put the organizations in the chat box. I put my email address. If there's any one that you would like to be connected with, please feel free, send me that information. I'll do the e-introduction and I'll share whatever information I can. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Carlos. Does anybody else have any questions for the DA's office?
This is Hakeem Browder.
I'm sorry.
Hakeem Browder. I do have a question.
Okay, go ahead. And Naomi, you'll be next.
Are you talking to me?
Hakeem, you can go ahead, and Naomi will be after you.
So I did want to just present myself as well as ask questions, not to Carlos, but, and I appreciate your information, Carlos. But specifically, I run an organization, the Khalif Browder Foundation, but we also have a men's group that we reach out to the fathers in the community. I'll put the information in the chat. Our organization is called Faith, which is Fathers Alive in the Hood. We been organizing for since 2018 in the Bronx. But basically, the question that I have is really, what are we doing as far as, because we do, I've been acknowledging and seeing throughout New York City, but particularly the Bronx, we have a lot of gun violence and a lot of murders that's happening due to gun violence, and where these guns are coming from. Obviously, it's not an easy question, but at least if we're tracking down or at least catching those that are using guns, which I'm starting to see a lot of reports of gun violence that no one's actually being, I mean, they're looking to the public to help find these individuals. They're always suspects at large, and we never hear of if they're off the streets or if the guns were found or anything like that. And this is scary. I mean, I'm a father. I have a strong hand in the community. I'm in the Allerton area and Mace and Williamsbridge area. And you know, the community is seeing a lot of violence, and it perpetuates when you hear of people getting away with that act of violence, especially when it's gun use. And so I'm just curious as to how close are we to getting, I guess, back to 2018 and before, where gun violence wasn't so high, and can we identify like where these guns are even coming from? I know that might be a really hard question, but how close are we to finding this out, and how do we get involved as faith fathers alive in the hood, so that we can also help interrupt?
That is a loaded question, and I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think I can answer all of that right now, but I will say that part of it, and if the 4-9 gets on, and certainly I think it's bigger than them, but I think that a large part of that has to be answered by the police department, as they are the people who actually would be tracking down the individuals with weapons. Or there's so many levels, I think, to your question. I know, we have the ATF, which is also responsible for combating gun trafficking. New York has very strict gun laws, but certainly there isn't anything to prevent people from coming from other jurisdictions, bringing weapons here. I'm sure they're being sold. So there are a lot of layers to that question. I would actually like to answer your question, but I'm going to be honest with you right now. I really can't, because you asked so many questions in one all at once. But I think you did put your email in the chat, and so I would be more than happy to take some of that back. But I think that's a really deep discussion. There are some people who believe that a lot of the violence, if you look at certain organizations, for example, like the Robin Hood Foundation and others, who really believe that poverty is at the root and at the heart of gun violence. So it's really going to depend on who you talk to as to why we've had this uptick. I think if we listen to the mayor, he has said on a number of occasions that it's a result of the pandemic and having been locked down for so long. So I really think it depends on who you talk to as to what reason people might give for why we're going through this uptick in violence. When will we get back to the numbers that we were used to seeing? I think that's a very good question. I do not know the answer to that. Does it involve people becoming employed at a higher level, in terms of so many people were laid off or lost jobs due to COVID? Is it a matter of bringing those jobs back? So I think your question has a lot of different layers, which I would be more than happy to try and address. But actually, to give you an answer right now is probably nearly impossible, mainly because I don't know the answer to all of those questions. I think they're great questions, but honestly, I just don't know. So if you would like to continue that conversation further, I can certainly try.
Mr.
You can just let me know. And Carlos, just one more thing. And I know your email address is there, and I do know some other individuals who, not in the Bronx, but in other boroughs, who have fatherhood initiatives, and I would certainly be more than happy just to connect you to them as well, because you guys are doing the same work, and I'm sure they would find it interesting. So I'm going to leave it at that, and you can let me know in the chat if you would like to continue this conversation.
And thank you very much, Sonia, for that. And Mr. Browder, just to let you know, the organization, the Cure Violence Organization, within the confines of the 49th Precinct, is known as SUV, which stands for Stand Up to Violence. I put the address, the program director's name, and her telephone number there as well. Another great organization that I can share information with you is called Bronx Works. I know that they also have like a fatherhood program as well. So if you give me a few minutes, I can, share that information with you. So again, SUV is within the confines of the 49th Precinct. Feel free to reach out to Ms. Dawkins Hamilton. Okay.
And if I may, if I could just piggyback. So we are in the midst of hosting another gun buyback on Saturday, June 26th, within the confines of the 40th Precinct. We are partnering with NYPD for that gun buyback, as we always do. And as many of you know, we just hosted a gun buyback in October. So this is the second one we're hosting within a short time period. And many of the boroughs citywide are also hosting and have hosted their gun buybacks already. We don't have a flyer at the moment. We're waiting on PD to approve it. However, when that flyer is approved, I will share it. And so it may be a small step, but one thing you can do is post a flyer. We do incentivize it for those who turn in guns, depending on what type of gun it is. They may get up to $200 and an iPad. So we're trying our best to incentivize it in conjunction with NYPD. So as soon as I get that flyer out, something that you can do to help is to circulate that flyer so that the word gets out. Thank you.
Thank you, Christina. Absolutely. A question on that. Do you happen to know how successful the February event was?
The October event?
The last event that you had for the gun buyback.
I can get those numbers back. I presented it in the meeting back in October, but I can definitely get those numbers back. I remember we were at Maestro's. Jean had asked me a question about it as well, but I can get those numbers back to you, Veronica.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
Cool.
And Christina, for some reason, why is the number 126 or 136? Because we just had a conversation about this on another call the other day, and I believe it was either 126 or 136.
136.
Thank you,
Great.
Carly.
That's great.
Mhm.
Thank you.
I
Okay,
have
are there
a
any?
question.
Naomi, you had a question?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Oh, okay. The question I have is, this past year has been very difficult in terms of police brutality, and there has been, a lot of protests and a lot of different feelings in terms of against or towards law enforcement. So I wanted to know if you guys could, just curious, what are we doing as a community to bring the young people or people of the community together with law enforcement? And some of you just answered the question where they're having the buyback, but are there other things that we're going to be doing to join the community together?
Can you hear me? The district attorney's office, we do have some things that we are considering actually to involve young people. The June 4th march, and the June 4th march, we are hoping to have youth participation. That's something that Carlos is working on. We're hoping to have at least a youth speaker who has been impacted by gun violence. As for other things, to be completely honest, because they have not been solidified, I do not want to mention them, because then you'll look at me and say, didn't you say you were going to have this? And I don't want to make that promise, but I can tell you that it is definitely a priority for us to involve young people. We do have some things that we're working on, and as soon as they become definite, you will definitely be notified, but I hesitate to mention them right now, like I said, because if they're postponed or if they don't happen, then I think it would be disappointing. So, but to answer your question, we're aware that we need youth involvement and we're definitely working on that.
That's great,
You're
Sonia.
welcome.
When you know that, whenever it's set and ready to go, if you share it with us, we'll be able to share it with the community. So thank you very much.
Absolutely. And quite frankly, if you are aware of any youth that you think would like to participate in crime prevention activities, then you can reach out to Carlos and we will speak to you further about making contact and how they can possibly participate in activities that we hope to have in the very near future.
Great. Thank you so much for that.
Just to
Diana, did you have a question?
Yeah, I had another quick question about the gun buybacks, actually. One of the mayoral candidates, I think it was Catherine Garcia, said that she thought that the gun buybacks should be a much higher sum of money, like $2,000 instead of $200, to really be effective and to get the kinds of guns off the street that are involved in the violence. So I was just wondering, if we think that's a good idea, how would we go about trying to get the fee increased, and who is actually in charge of it? Where does the money come from?
Are you talking about the debate? I think it was just earlier this week, right? I think, because I do
Right. I think
recall.
she said it in the debate, and she said it in other places, that she thinks that if she was elected, she would increase the fee, and she thinks to be effective, really effective, the fee should be much, much higher.
I do recall hearing her mentioning that. The question as to where that money will come from, I think in my mind we need to ask her, because I really don't know where we would get that kind of money, and that's really my answer. I don't know.
Right. I guess I meant, if she doesn't get elected, and if we, the people, thought that that was a really good idea to increase the amount substantially, how would we go about making that happen? Like, where is it? The police budget that the money comes from? Is it the DA's budget? Is the mayor's discretionary budget? That kind of thing. Like, how would we go about getting the amount raised?
Diane, I'm not sure how to answer your question on how to go about getting it raised. However, I can answer the question of where the funds do come from. It is a collaboration between NYPD and the DA's office.
Thank you. Does anybody else have any questions? Okay. Thank you, Christina, Carlos, Sonia. Thank you so much for joining us today with the presentation and providing all this very, very informative information to us. Thank you.
Thank you for having us, Veronica.
Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely. You're welcome anytime. Just let us know, and you're welcome to come and join our committee meetings anytime.
Thank you.
Thank you. Does anybody have any, well, before we start that, Melanie, can you hear us? Are you muted? I just want to be able to vote on the minutes. If not, we'll just have to leave it for the next meeting if she can't hear. Okay. Does anybody have any old business? No? Yahe, do you have any new business or anything that you'd like to bring up for the committee?
No, I don't have anything. Did you mention the Unity rally next week?
No, I didn't. Would you mind telling everyone about that?
Is that Wednesday, 5 p.m., right? Next Wednesday? I
Yes.
think it's at 5 p.m. I'd have to go back and look at my paperwork.
Yeah, as far as I
Um,
know, it's 5 p.m.
Yep, that's the only thing at Orchard Beach on the left-hand side, if anyone
I think it is.
looking to come.
Yeah, Section 4, Orchard Beach. We're having a unity rally. So if you know anyone who wants to join us, that's next Wednesday, May 26th at 5 p.m. And if you need any more information, you could just give a call to the community board and they can provide you more information for that. And I
Yep,
think
that's all I have.
that's okay.
Can I make one more announcement?
Absolutely. Go ahead.
Okay, apologies. Speaking about Unity Rally, we are also hosting an anti-hate crime rally this Friday from 12 to 2 p.m. on 161st Street in the Lou Gehrig Plaza, which is right across the street from the Supreme Court. So if you like, please come join us. And I just want to give a personal shout out to Yahe for connecting us with the Sheik, who will be opening at that rally. Thank you.
Thank you. So Melanie is on, but she's having trouble. We're not able to hear her on our side. She can hear us. So I'm just.
Yeah, I think we can vote on the minutes if you want to call for a motion, and if it's
Yeah,
if you
she's
and I
gonna.
agree on it, I think
she's
that's.
gonna vote in. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Yahe.
No, I think if you and I would vote, I think would be 2 versus 1, even if she abstained or anything.
Okay. So you read the minutes. I read the minutes. I make a motion to accept the minutes as they appear on the website.
Yep, and I second it.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? No? Okay. So that carries. Okay. And that's it. I think that's it, unless anybody else has anything they want to bring up. If not, okay. Thank you everyone again so much for joining us tonight. It was very informative, and thank you everyone from the public who joined us, and have a great night.
Thank you so much. Thank you everyone for the information. It was great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you.
And
Good night. Thank you.
Aye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Meeting ends 7:44.